The Voigtlander 28mm f1.5, essentially the sister lens to the 35mm f1.5 Nokton vintage line, is a fantastic performing lens, but there's a but to it. Now, the 28mm f1.5 was newly released to the market a couple days ago. I had it in my hands for about 48 hours. Big thanks to Riceball Photography here in Singapore for allowing me to test drive it. Having said that, these are my thoughts and my thoughts only. And as I mentioned, it is a fantastic performing lens. If you liked the 35mm f1.5, you're gonna love this 28mm f1.5. It's essentially a slightly wider version of that lens. Still the same close focusing at 0.5 meters. It's an spherical lens. It has very similar design language, but there's something different on the 28, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But in terms of optic performance, it's sharp wide open at 1.5, not bitingly sharp like an Voigtlander lens, but it's sharp enough. You can read text legibly. You don't see a lot of color fringing with very different high contrast scenarios. It's well corrected in that way. Wide open at 1.5, you're gonna see a little bit of vignetting. That happens. But we notice that on most Voigtlander lenses anyway. A little bit of cat's eye in the bokeh coming out around the edges. I stopped it down to f16, a little bit of sun stars coming in through the lights. In terms of flaring, I don't really see much come into play on that, which again, modern corrections that we have in this lens, that ties into that as well. And it's a 20mm lens, which for many, they prefer over a 35, especially if they're gonna be shooting street photography or any sort of urban landscapes or environmental shots. Now, in the package though, I have a little bit of complaint about this. Voigtlander decided not to give us a hood. Type 1 or Type 2, there is no hood. Box, styrofoam, plastic bag, that's it. And I wish Voigtlander would actually up their game a little bit. I mean, they've been in the business for so many years, and all these other lens manufacturers out there are bringing us, nice like leather or your full leather pouches and various different hoods and accessories. It kind of gives you this feeling of like, I bought something and I'm getting a little bit more than what I paid for. But Voigtlander's like, nah, we're not doing that. As a matter of fact, you just get the lens and get a little plastic bag. You're not going to keep the box. And I disagree with that sort of assessment. And I wish they would maybe up their game in a presentation, but that's just a little bit of a nitpick with me. Let's get down to the design of this lens. The design on Type 2 is the one most people will go for, in my personal opinion, because it far exceeds Type 1. And this is where I'm going to have a little bit of complaint about the design choices in just a second, but let's talk about the Type 2. It's got the scalped focus ring. It's got the knurling at the bottom, very reminiscent of the version 1 and version 2 of the 50 Summilux from Leica, or even the special edition, which they launched a few years back. I absolutely love that design, by the way. It's one of my most favorite designs out of any Leica lenses, is that one. And it comes in brass in the Type 2. You get a gloss black paint finish, which will brass, from what I understand, and give you more of that kind of vintage look over time, and a silver chrome finish. Okay, now the silver chrome was the one I tested, and the black chrome, which is the matte version, that was the Type 1. And the silver chrome on Type 2 matches beautifully to, let's say, an M6 for that matter. It just matches the paint spot on, except you've got that chrome ring on the front of it, again with a Type 1 as well, which I don't understand. I thought Voigtlander was done with that chrome ring, but they brought it back. I don't know why. I think it takes away from the aesthetics personally. I like when they keep it, one color like the Voigtlander or some other lenses they come out to the market with. I wish they would just do that, but for whatever reason, it's there. But I guess you can put a hood onto it, which doesn't come in the box. You can buy one. It's a 43mm filter diameter, which is their standard hood. So there you have it. In terms of the Type 1 and Type 2, I don't understand why Voigtlander changes the design. Because if you have an M11, for example, or an M10 or an M7, which I have, and you don't want the gloss black paint finish, but you love that vintage design language, you're out of luck. You have to go with Type 1. And Type 1 is a much more just kind of simplistic design. It doesn't really scream at you. It doesn't make you go, wow, like the Type 2 does. I wish they would just keep to one design and just give us various different metal options, aluminum or brass, different paint finishes, but one design language. That would be the ideal situation. Optically, the lens is great. When I was testing it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The focusing was smooth, the aperture ring, we know how Voigtlander lenses are built. They're fantastic. They give you a lot of value for the money that you're spending. And you're probably thinking, well, I should just get the Voigtlander. But there's a new lens coming in very, very soon by the name of Thypoch Simera 28mm f1.4, a spherical floating element lens. That is a very interesting lens. Now, I just did a review on the 35 1.4. I really enjoyed that lens. However, I'm hearing from Thypoch and from others who tried the 28, I'm getting my set in very soon for review, is that the 28 may even exceed the 35 in terms of optics. And you get a square hood and a cap for the square hood and a push-on cap if you don't want to use the hood. And you get a declipped aperture and you get close focusing at 0.4 meters. Now, I'm not here promoting Thypoch saying that's the lens to get. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but it does make it very interesting in the 28mm space now. But having said all that, would you go for the Voigtlander because of the trust factor? They've been in business for many, many years. and they're tried and proven? Or would you say, wait a second, this Thypoch 28mm f1.4 is giving me, on paper, right? We haven't tested it out yet. On paper, a lot more value for my dollar. Could this exceed the Voigtlander? Remains to be seen, but I'm interested to try both of these lenses together if I can, along with the Leica 28mm f1.4 Sumo Lux as well. If that happens, you guys will be seeing that video pretty soon. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers I have, it does help me in terms of getting gear in for review. And so that means I can put out more videos for you guys. So with that, stay safe and I'll chat to you soon.